This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined the Patreon or become a YouTube member. Thank you. If you could, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Cavs-focused content.
What's up, and welcome to Cavs Q&A, the show where I take your questions about the Cavs and answer them here in video format. Tons of questions to get into. First one is from Noah Brown, who says, is Evan Mobley a lock for Defensive Player of the Year with Wemby's unfortunate blood clot? If not, what does he need to do to get there? I don't know if he's a lock right now, right? It's early to say a lock, but I do think he's one of the favorites, if not the favorite. What he needs to do to get there, in all honesty, is have more performances like he had on national TV against the New York Knicks. Basically get his name out there, right? Like, let people know that this is the best defender in basketball. And when he plays in front of the national audience, showcase why he's one of the best defensive players in basketball. Evan Mobley's a quiet guy, and I think sometimes that works against him because he doesn't tell people what they need to know about him. He's a humble dude, and I think he's learned that, hey, if I want to get the recognition I deserve as one of the rising stars in the NBA, I need to put my name out there. And one of the things Evan said recently is that he thinks he could be one of the best players in the NBA, up there with Wemby. And I love that Evan's doing that, and it's showing in his game. He's getting that confidence on the floor, and he's getting that confidence off the floor. And I love that for Evan Mobley. If he wants to continue to let people know, then he has to have these performances in prime time, right? When he's on ABC on Sunday and everybody's watching after the football season, when he's on TNT Tuesdays and Thursdays, when he's on NBA Fridays on ESPN, he needs to put on a show. He needs to get people out there talking about how this is the best defensive player in basketball when everybody's watching. Because Cavs fans already know, ain't nothing you're going to do that's going to impress them. Hell, Cavs fans have seen him be such a good defensive player for so long, we take it for granted, to be honest with you. Like, Evan Mobley just be out there switching on the perimeter against guards and shit, and we just don't be acting like that's impressive. And it's only not impressive in Cleveland because you look over and Jarrett Allen can do the same thing. Doesn't mean that what Evan's doing is not impressive, but, I think people don't get the chance to appreciate it because he's only really appreciated locally. So really showing out nationally is the biggest thing he could do. Stephen Miller, 316, says, Q, quick one here. Is it just me or is J.A., Jarrett Allen, under the most underrated, underappreciated big man in the NBA? Love watching him play. Love your content. Be well, man. Yeah, I think there's a case you can make for it for sure that Jarrett Allen is hugely underrated. Even by Cavs fans, I think he's underrated. I call him the garbage man for a reason. Part of the reason I call him that is he is the most important but least appreciated person on the floor at all times. But Jarrett Allen is super important. I think another thing that goes under the radar with Jarrett is his development offensively. The fact that he has a little bit of a post-up bag now, that he has some moves to go to if it's not going to be a putback or alley-oop, right? I think that part of Jarrett Allen's game not really being discussed enough because of all the other cool things going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But I think a lot of people look at Jarrett Allen, they think that's the same guy from the Knicks series in 2023. But the fact is that he has progressed and developed quite a bit since that Knicks series. And I'm excited for him to be able to show everybody just how much he's progressed. Lim Leahy says, I don't know, man. SpongeBob Jones says, do you think the Cavs actually made a mistake signing Javonte Green? Seems like a solid defensive wing, but if Mobley and Allen get injured, all we have is TT, and I don't think that'd cut it. I mean, the Cavs are not a perfect roster. They're not covered for every single thing that could happen to them, like every other roster in the NBA is as well, right? You're just going to have some spots on the NBA roster where you're a little bit more vulnerable. What the Cavs did here was look at the buyout market and say, hey, look, none of these centers you're going to feel that much better than Tristan Thompson if you have to go to versus not versus, but if you have to go to because one of these two guys got hurt. There was just going to be no sufficient replacement for Mobley or Allen in the buyout market if they were to get injured, which hopefully they don't. I think instead they said, hey, let's get a guy. He's a wing. He's a defensive player, and you can envision a plan for him. And also, I think the plan is if one of these guys gets injured, okay, DeAndre Hunter is going to play the 4. Dean Wade's going to play the 4, and you'll just have a one big lineup being replaced out there with maybe like 7 minutes of Tristan Thompson out there to limit the damage he could have out there. And having Javonte Green, another wing you can throw out there, is going to be helpful to making those rotations potentially work if you have to get up here and do it. Should we call Dwight Howard to play backup center, or should we continue with TT? Just keep Tristan Thompson out there. Do not call it Dwight Howard. I mean, I don't think Dwight Howard would be very useful for the Cavs right now. I get why people want to do it, because the thought of Dwight Howard and your memory of Dwight Howard, even if you like degrade it for what he is now, feels better than Tristan Thompson, but they're not that different of player at this point, and Dwight would be a huge distraction. Amir, my bad, not Amari. Amir says, what's up, Q? Do you think this will be the best season record-wise for the Cavs? I feel like this is similar to the 14-15 Warriors, making our case as contenders for years to come and letting everybody know we're here to stay. This feels like a coming-out season. I do agree with you on that. Like the Cavs, the way they have answered every question posed to them, the way they have passed every test given to them, feels a lot like a team that's not just having a good year, but is letting you know where things are going. And here's the important part. A lot of this is about the development of Evan Mobley. And we've always said this team will go as far as Evan Mobley's development can take them. And it looks like Evan's going to be a top-tier NBA player if he continues developing on this path. So it's not just the arrival of the Cleveland Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell, which would have a ticking time clock on it because Donovan is getting up there in age. Not saying that he's old. He's not there yet. But if we're talking about long term, he would be up there sooner than later. But the evolution of Evan Mobley is what also makes you feel like this has a lot of staying power. The fact that the Cavs have been a good team since they gotten Evan Mobley also makes you feel that way. It's just Evan is a huge part of why you feel so confident about this team. Darius, again, young player, you feel great about having him here too. But Evan developing, having the offensive game show that he's already shown so early into his career, huge part of why you're excited about the Cavs and why this feels like an arrival more than an aberration. Luke says, hey, Q, thoughts on the Cavs adding Javonte Green? I like it. We kind of touched on it with the earlier comment. I think he's a nice piece, a nice option to have if you need to make an adjustment during a series. I don't expect Javonte Green to play like gigantic minutes in the playoffs or even in the regular season. But, if you get 1 or 2 moments from him, then that's more than worth it. Michael says, hey, Q, in your opinion, besides the Celtics, are there any teams that could upset the Cavs in the playoffs? I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on the Pacers. Could be a sneaky team to watch out for in the playoffs. Yeah, you don't want to sleep on a Rick Carlisle team. They could be very scrappy. I wouldn't sleep on the Pacers. I think the Cavs can ultimately beat the Pacers in a 7-game series, so I'm not too concerned about them. But, yeah, I would say the Pacers are not a joke. Like, you shouldn't take them lightly by any means. Let me see. Can I think of anybody else that would concern me in the playoffs? In the East, I'm not worried about the Knicks anymore. Maybe Atlanta. No, not really Atlanta, because that was just 2 games that got off on us, and we got DeAndre Hunter now, so not worried about that. There was a time where maybe Orlando would scare you a little bit, but they have had such a bad run as of late. Let me look up the standings real quick. Just to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Obviously, Oklahoma City, if we're talking about teams in the West right now. But what? The Pacers, I think there's something there. Milwaukee, because they have Giannis. I would love to see Detroit. I think that would be a fun series for the Cavs. Orlando, not really worried. Miami with no Jimmy, not really worried. Atlanta, not really worried. Chicago, not really worried. If we go to the West, I would like to play Memphis. Denver, I think the Cavs have a matchup advantage against. Houston, not really worried. Los Angeles, I think we have a matchup advantage against them. The Clippers, I'm not even going to entertain that. Timberwolves, think we got a matchup advantage. The Dallas Mavericks, if they're healthy, could be one of those teams that could be very dangerous to play in a surprise team because they do have AD and Kyrie, and that's a lot of experience with Klay Thompson there as well. It's not really much of a factor anymore, but still there. And then the Warriors with Jimmy, am I worried about that? I don't think I'm worried about that. I don't know. I'll watch how they play over the next month or so to determine if I'm worried about that. I don't think I'm worried about that because I don't think they're going to come out the West. But yeah, those are the teams. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night.